faith. Have faith. Believe in your source. Have faith.
Welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs, the podcast that dives deep into the stories of trailblazers who shape our world. Our co-host, Lulu Benavidez, is a seasoned entrepreneur in the beauty industry, is a photographer, artist, and the proud owner of Lulu's The Salon in Galveston, Texas. Our other co-host, Krokonis Hanson, is a visionary in the entrepreneurial world with years of experience in business innovation and development. Together, they bring you insights, inspiration, and the journeys of remarkable individuals who have made their mark. And with that, let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special Thanksgiving episode of Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. I am Lulu Benavidez, and I'm here with my co-host, the fabulous Krokonis Hanson. Oh my God. It's Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving, and here we are, and we're reminiscing about what we have done. It's, this time last year, we weren't even thinking about it and about this podcast. And here we are. We have 10 episodes in the can, as Sue would say. And the first two were, the trailer. And it was just kind of give you an idea of what the podcast was about. And the second one was an interview with each other. So we just want the audience to know about us, a little bit about us and what we've done in the industry. And you can take it from there.
Well, we just wanted to give you a little bit about us. We didn't want to scare you too much up front. We'll unfold more about us as we go along. But Lulu and I really wanted to take this opportunity, being it is Thanksgiving, to let people know how thankful and grateful we are, not only for the fabulous people we've interviewed, the people who've agreed to be on in the future, the people who've given us great feedback and are listening, but also thankful for what's all going on in our lives. Probably the most important is Lulu and I are both here, healthy and doing good and loving doing this. And we couldn't do it without two wonderful people on our team who you won't never see, never know, but they work so hard to try and make the show good and be good for the audience. Ann Schultz is our editor. She takes all of the interviews, our music, our announcing, makes it all come together so that it flows great. And she's such a humble person. And she is so gifted. We probably don't do it enough, but we want to acknowledge her and just let you know how much we love you, Ann. We love everything you do for us. We never take you for granted. So shout out to Ann.
Ann Schultz, and her company is AJ Designs.
AJS Designs.
And so she's has also done our websites, both our websites, in matter of fact. So, she's a very, very talented person, and she doesn't give herself enough credit, but I can tell you she is very creative. She is definitely creative.
Yeah. And a good soul.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another one, which was really Lulu's find. And boy, did she find us a diamond. Jonathan Gonzalez in Houston, Texas. And he has a company, it's called JJ Media and Events. And not only talented, but what a nice person. What a good guy. So if you have anything going on where you need incredible sound, music, whatever, check him out because he's just a good guy and a joy to work with. And Lulu found him. I was skeptical. I didn't know this guy. What a good find, Lulu. Way to go.
Well, I guess it came by accident. We did our first episode, which was live in Houston, Texas. And so we contact Ben Barracks is the name of the company. Yes. He and Jonathan works there, and he was the engineer for a podcast. So I called up and we booked him, and we were supposed to have like a couple people we were going to interview. Long story short is we only got one, and Sue flew down from Florida to Houston, and we did our first episode, our very first episode, and that guest was Beth Minardi.
And we laughed so hard, my ribs hurt. I mean, what a way to start off the podcast. She is amazing. She is so brilliant, and she is so funny. She is was a delight, was just a delight. And of course, we were nervous because it was our first one. There's all this technology and whatever. And we were so lucky to have her as our first guest because she really made it fun.
Yeah. And, you know, so you can go back and listen to our first episode of Beth Minardi. You know, she is a renowned hair colorist, and you can listen to her story, her journey.
Celebrity salon owner in Manhattan, talked about everything that happened with COVID in the city. It was really, we packed a lot into that interview, boy.
And we learned a lot, didn't we? We sure did learn a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, Jonathan always tells me, well, you know, you look at your first episode and you look at your 20th. Well, we're not at the 20th right now. We're at 10. But he says, when you look at your first and you look at the 20th and you say, what the hell was I thinking? Well, Sue and I say that, but we had a fabulous guest.
Yeah. We like to say the guests make us look good.
In spite of ourselves. And,
In spite of ourselves. Yeah, absolutely.
As we go along, we get a little bit more comfortable in speaking in front of the camera. And, you know, Sue and I have traveled all over the world doing hair shows, you know, so it comes easy to us, but this was so foreign to us doing a podcast. So as you could see, I'm more technical and I like to read, and you can tell that I'm reading because Sue tells me that I'm reading. So,
Sue doesn't tell you reading. Sue says, relax, enjoy it. It's fun. But you just want to be perfect.
I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
But at any rate, our next episode was Stephen Moody. And Stephen comes from JMPS, John Paul Mitchell Systems.
Yes.
John Paul Mitchell.
By way of Vidal Sassoon. He opened all the Vidal Sassoon schools worldwide. I didn't know Stephen before the interview. What a gentleman. He's just so comfortable to talk to. It was just great. I mean, I just can't say enough about talking with Stephen. And I was so excited because one of the things he shared now that he's with John Paul Mitchell Systems is they're looking at opening an advanced academy in California, which, you know, boy, when they get that going, we want to have them back on the show and find out a lot more information about that. But it was great.
Yeah. And also, you know, you can go back and listen to his podcast. But he talks about the journey of hairdressing.
Yeah.
But he comes from a long line of hairdressers. His whole family's a hairdressers. So it was interesting to talk to him. Was also interesting in seeing him teach all over the country, and that all hairdressers are alike.
Yeah.
Even though the cultures are different.
Right.
It boils down to everybody's alike.
Yeah. Humans. We're all human beings. And then we did our first international podcast because our guest was in Spain.
No. Before that one, we did Lee Burton.
Oh, that's right. Oh, my God. How could I forget Lee?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
That was episode 3, and it was a wonderful journey of fitness to often, A journey to fitness is often about inner strength rather than physical appearance. Yeah. That was the name of her podcast. Yeah. But she was freaking funny.
Well, she was funny because she used to be your trainer, and she was
Well,
talking
yeah.
about how you'd show up in your pajamas at 4 in the morning. I loved it. I've got a whole new deal. She's going to be my personal trainer. One of these days, she's up in Tampa, and I am going up, and I'm going to finally start taking care of this body, finally, after years.
Yeah, and I guess what I liked about Lee was that she's such a positive person, and in her training, she's that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I guess that's why I loved her. She was my personal
Yeah.
trainer for many years, and then her ex-husband, and I still go to the gym,
Yeah.
and because we feel that in everything that we do, that fitness is very important to us, and our physical well-being is, and our mental health is also very important. So she talked about that. She talked, we asked her questions on different drugs that are out there in the market and
Health
how to eat.
fads, because
Yeah.
Florida's the health fad capital of the world. So it was
Right.
really great to get some really good professional.
Yeah, some
Insight,
good
yeah.
information. So,
Yeah.
and then occasionally we'll definitely have people like her in the fitness world and wellness world and to do their podcast for us. It won't be only just hairdressers, but be
Yeah.
people from all walks of life that will help us in this journey.
Right, right. And then who did we have after?
William.
Oh, yeah, William DeRitter. Oh, I love William. William actually moved from
Belgium?
Belgium to Houston. He's an international hair design guru. So we thought, he's in Houston, this will be perfect. Well, except when we booked him, he was actually in Spain. So he was our first international podcast. And boy, you talk about a wealth of incredible information. I mean, he comes from a family of hairdressers. He's won every award and championship that you can have. And he's such a wonderful, again, it's so funny to me to see these people who are just icons in our industry, and they're just such wonderful people, gracious, shared with us openly, again, learned a few things that were, like, whoa, I didn't realize that, so it was good. If you get a chance, you should go to Facebook and look up his work. He's constantly posting photographs of his work, and his work is,
It's
he
unbelievable.
does these collections, and they're just spectacular. Yeah.
Well, that was the first time I had heard about William. I mean, I've heard about him, but I didn't know him. And when I called him up, because he was just down the road from me in Houston, I said, oh my God, we must have stayed on the phone for at least over an hour.
Yeah.
Just talking. And he's so giving, and we all know the same people. And he's willing to give and give and give and give.
Yeah.
And one of his mentors or one of his persons is Anne Bray, and which he
who
actually
we love.
works with her
Yeah.
at some point and teaches
Yeah.
with her. So
Yeah.
that was great.
Yeah.
So if you go to his episode, you would see that he starts out with a beautiful background that's sky, and it gets darker as the time goes by.
Yeah, that was awesome. So that, I just have to say here, Lulu, the biggest surprise to me of the podcast was we knew we wanted to talk to artists and icons and entrepreneurs, but I don't think we ever talked about doing international. But somehow we've wound up with one in Spain, one in Australia, one in Estonia. We've got one coming up in London, and none of that was planned. It just sort of
Evolved.
revealed itself, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, God. And so our next person was Jim Stone.
Oh, love Jim.
And, Jim and I and Sue, we all go back way, way back. And he's a storyteller, He told about, again, his family being in the barber industry. And it's just such a great episode to be able to, for him to tell his personal story and also his professional story.
Yeah, because, it's an interesting thing with Jim. He came up through barbering, and they had 4 barber schools in Florida. And Jim was recognized and given a huge award by the National Barbers Association. He's done all these things, but he's also a cosmetologist, which is incredible. And he's worked companies with Lulu and I, and he's a great educator. But he also now is part of the certification board for cosmetology schools. So if you want to know what's happening with education in America and talk to somebody who's really firsthand got their pulse on what's going on, that's Jim. And it was really interesting to get his insight on, where we are as an industry.
I know it. And, to that is, he is so giving. When we interviewed him, it was in the middle of the hurricane.
Yeah.
Where Sue and him, their house was in the upwhirl.
Yeah.
What was the name of that?
We both, I don't even know. It was the one, we had 2 of them back to back, and it was the first one. It was, I think it was between the first one and the second one. And Jim and I both just came in from hauling stuff out of our yards, because when we have hurricanes in Florida, well, Lulu, from Houston, but I mean, it's just,
Yeah. And
I always say, well, at least I'm not shoveling snow. Hi ho,
exactly. Yeah. And to be in the middle of all that, he still stopped and interviewed with us.
Right.
So, that just goes to show you what a great person he is and a giving person.
When I think of professionalism, sometimes it's hard to give a definition. But if you watch Jim Stone over 30 years, he is one of the most consummate professionals. He's always prepared, organized, knowledgeable, humble, hardworking. I mean, those are qualities that, you just can't go out and buy.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that brings me to our next episode. Christopher Brooker.
Oh, boy. Love Christopher. Love him, but oh my God, did we have technical challenges on that one? Oh, thank you, Terry Donnelly, because if it hadn't been for you working, we might never have got the interview. I think we tried 3 times.
At least. And then
just to technically get it. Christopher was there. We wanted to do it, but we couldn't get the hoo-ha-ha to talk to the wee-wah.
Right. Well, we finally did. And my God, that episode was unbelievable. We still, to this day, and it's been several weeks, I guess, that we're still getting a lot of views from from his friends and from all of you.
Well, all over the world.
All over the world, not only in the United States, but all over the world. Yeah. His knowledge and perspective and his insight into, he was the co-owner of Vidal Sassoon. He
first artistic director.
Right.
The first artistic director. So all those photographs that I drooled over in the 70s and studied, and how did they do that? Probably half the work was his, at least.
And then I think we learned so much from the names. We heard so many different types of names or of people we actually knew in the industry.
Yeah.
But we're able to put, dots to the I's and all that he said.
The personal spin on it. The personal spin on it, to know, where they came from and how they wound up, being and doing what they did. Is always fascinating to me, because I always say this, in an instant society, we just think these people were automatically, well, no, there's a whole story behind how they got there and what they went through. And yeah,
And I think that's what the beauty about our podcast is that we don't want to lose sight of that story, that journey that person has gone through. We still want to hold on to that. And we want to know where the person's been, where they're going to,
right,
which will help us and also help the new stylists.
Yeah, what motivated them now? What's motivating them, when they were doing whatever?
And it still boils down to the same thing. You have to have a passion for your craft.
That's a word that comes up over and over and over. Passionate.
Yes.
The two words I heard the most were passionate and discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
talk about
and
it.
the other thing that's interesting, Lulu, I'll just say this. Some of the people we interviewed were friends of mine. Some of them were friends of yours. But after the interview, I feel like they're all our friends. I mean, we just had such honest and, it's that personal connection.
Right, exactly.
I appreciate that. It's been wonderful.
Yeah. Every time I leave a podcast, my husband always asks me, did you have fun? I said, yeah, I learned so much,
Yeah.
And it's constantly learning about, you think you know somebody, but you don't know what until you actually
and then
talk
they
to
go,
them.
Yeah. And then snap your head back. I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't think that, so, yeah.
So, which leads us to the next person. So, we interviewed Sharon Blaine, all the way from Australia, Sydney, Australia, which is a freaking day ahead of us.
Yeah, half the challenge was figuring out when we could do it. Was it going to be in the middle of the night or the middle of the morning?
And you're right, so it's coordinating all that kind of stuff, when you're talking to international people is making sure that all the ducks are in the row.
Oh, yeah.
But Sharon Blaine was a true inspiration. I learned of her because I have taken several classes from her and on long hair dressing and talking about putting systems in place and doing it and practicing it. That's what I learned the most from her.
Yeah. And just the inspiration, how she can take a lamp and see a hairstyle or, I honestly feel that Sharon Blaine has probably forgot more about hairdressing than 90% of the hairdressers know. She is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, she is, when you say hair artist, she just elevates that to the next level. And she was talking about where she shops in New York to buy fabric, and she always goes there because you can use fabric with hair. I mean, I thought that was just so cool.
I did a photo shoot with Sharon, I think in New York. And, when you tell me to do something, I always do it to the most, to the...
I don't know. You never listen to me.
Well, I try to
just
listen.
Just kidding.
And so she asked those that were going to take her photographic class to be prepared and to do a storyboard and whatever. So I did a PowerPoint presentation and I put music in the background and it was the year of the rooster. So I had a picture of a rooster. Anyway, it looked pretty good. Of course, then Ann could probably look at it and do it totally different than I did. But anyway, I put the music to it. I was the only one that actually did the PowerPoint.
Did the assignments.
Yeah. So it goes to show you that some people don't listen. But anyway, I listened. From that shoot, we shot, I think, 6 models. Anyway, and we teamed up in twos. And I've won for Intercoiffure out of one of those images that we produced.
Yeah.
And, I have Sharon Blaine to thank that. And just, making petals, making hair accessories that you don't have to do, because you don't have to do the model. You could just put hair accessories on her, or, you know, you can put pieces on her, you can do all kinds of stuff. And so that's one of the things I learned from her.
Yeah.
Is learning how to make hair.
Yeah. And she's doing something that's pretty exciting. She's working with some other people, and they're doing an international show in Australia in 2020. So she told us that we would be one of the first people to get all the information, so you can count on us plugging the show in Australia. We're already thinking about getting our crew together. Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
So I think is it September the 24th or 25th or somewhere
I think
around.
those were the dates that she was trying. They were trying to nail something down yet, but that's the date that they were shooting for. And yeah, how fun is that going to be?
Oh my God! So.
Artists, icons, and entrepreneurs from the international show in Australia. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My God. And so our last episode that we did last week was Tony Beckerman.
I love that man. He is, oh my God, just what a sweetheart. He's just there again, so giving, so down to earth, just not pompous or arrogant in any way, and yet all of his credentials definitely says he certainly has the right to be. You know, I really enjoyed that interview. I'm hoping, I think we got a promise that he'll come back and do another episode or two, because you cannot cover the Tony Beckerman story in 45 minutes. It's not possible.
No, there's not. And, you know, Tony and I go way back in the Matrix days, where Marcy Kona was the artistic director or something in education. I don't know what her title was.
Yeah.
But she had hired me, and I was under Tony Beckerman, which was the head person that we developed the craft cutting, craft perming, craft color. And I think it's still used to this day. But at any rate, I was with him, Nicholas French, the Altieri brothers. And I don't know.
Right in. Lulu.
I was the only woman. Anyway, it was a very great time in both our lives. But he was, I learned so much from him. I learned the discipline. I learned how to stand correctly. So when I'm working, it's all about movement. It's all about how to bend how to bend those legs and how to move your arms, and you don't slouch. And because our bodies, hairdressing is so taxing on our bodies. And so knowing how to use your body, whether you're cutting hair, whether you're perming, whether you're highlighting, that's important.
Right.
So I learned that from Tony. But Tony, which if you listen to his episode, and I listened to it the other day because I had a doctor's appointment. I listened to it on my radio through Apple. I texted him, I said, damn, you sound really good. So here, and in the episode, he talks about, how he first got started with Del Sassoon, and the different, he was age 15, and how his father took him to all these different salons. Yeah. And it was extraordinary, the way he talked and how he put people in place, what people in the company were at the time.
And how Vidal Sassoon's, I did not know that there were 3 paths that you could go when you were raised up to a certain level at Sassoon's. I found that fascinating.
Yeah. So it's a must listen to episode, because he's so
for sure,
interesting person. So we're going to have him back eventually to talk more about his journey, because I tell you what, he has had a journey.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And of course now he makes products for individual or companies. And so we know some of those names. So it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. And then we have some incredible guests coming up going forward.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we do. And so I think our next guest will be Ellie Puss from Estonia.
Estonia. Here we are. We're just talking to somebody in Estonia.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And she comes to the United States quite often to do classes. And that's how I met her, through Sharon Blaine.
Yeah.
It was a great episode. So she's coming up pretty soon, I think the next week. And then we have...
Is it fair to say that she's like the bridal hair queen? I mean, she does all... Yeah, art. Yeah. She does all these phenomenal photo sessions, and it's just unbelievable what she does.
And you have to look her up on Instagram and listen to her episode, and you would see the beauty of her work is unbelievable. And she's also done a Fashion Week, and I mean, has grown tremendously. And she's like, what, in her 40s?
Oh, she has 5 kids. She's like in her 40s. She's just this ball of creativity and energy. I tip my hat to her for sure.
And you know, at each class, and I've taken several classes from her, and each class, it's not the same.
Yeah.
So, because at that class, she's thinking about the next class to make it differently.
Yeah.
To make it somewhat different. And it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then the next one after that, we'll have Dean Bandsworth.
Dean Banner. I have to tell this story. So, those of you who maybe don't know him, Dean Banowitz is known as the Hollywood hair guy. And he does all top television shows. And in fact, I think right now he's in Montana working on the next episode of Taylor Sheraton's, 23? Which I love it. I mean, I've watched it. I just might not have the date right. But he's just phenomenal. And he's crazy. And he's fun. Well, in the process of getting the bio and getting everything lined up to do the interview, I find out that he is from DeWitt, Iowa, which is 30 miles from where I'm from. I had so much fun with him. It was a blast. And he's just there again, funny, crazy, down to earth, knowledgeable, talented, disciplined, all of these things that you wouldn't think would go together. He's a rural Iowa boy. He was in the military. He's a hairdresser's hairdresser. He does celebrity stars. It's just this cadre of interesting layers. I love pulling back those layers and learning. And I made him promise that when he has time, he'd come back on, because he got a lot of awards in the military. And we barely scratched the surface on that. And I think that that's because he was talking about how the military helped him in hairdressing. Always be battle ready. I love that. Always be battle ready. That's what he tells people backstage or when they're in the green room. Are you battle ready? Are you prepared? Because you can't fix it when you're in the trenches. You have to be prepared for whatever comes. It was fabulous.
It was a fun episode.
Yeah.
He talked, he's been on American Idol, Dancing with the
Voice,
Stars,
he does,
The Voice.
all of
And,
this.
and he said he did recently did his, I don't know if he said it in an episode or we were just talking, but he did his niece's wedding.
Yes.
And he asked her if she was going to be belly dancing or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And she says, no. And he says, well, I need to know, because I need to know how to do your hair.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be belly dancing, then I need to, sew it in. So he would sew pieces in if you're going to be on the floor, so your hair wouldn't fall off.
Yeah.
So we learned so much from him just listening to what he had to say.
He's one of 13 children.
Yeah.
That's just another. He was saying, everybody says the number 13's unlucky, but for him it was pretty lucky because he's the 13th child out of 16.
Yeah.
As I said, there's these layers, and you just keep pulling them back, and it's, it was really, really cool. Yeah.
So those are two that we have.
Coming up. They're
Coming
in the
up.
can. But
They're in the can. They're just ready to go. And then we're going to interview Sonia Dove.
Sonia Dove, yeah.
Which she now lives in Santo Domingo.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in Mexico.
Yeah.
So, we're going to talk about international.
Yeah. Keep
going
adding
all
countries.
kinds of places, all different places. And then Ellen Papaleo.
Yeah,
Papaleo?
who is, not only a fabulous educator, seasoned hairdresser, but he is also a phenomenal artist. I first started following him not because of the beauty industry, but because of his art, and he would show it as he was working on it. So it's like, I started this, I'm almost finished, here's the and you would just be like blown away. I know you're an artist, Lulu, so I know you looked at it closely too, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and he also did because he worked at Matrix also, and he did this painting for Marcy Kona, which we wind up, I think she bought the painting and she made posters and gave it to us. But it was of an angel that he had drew and painted.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was just incredible. And that was back 30 years ago or 20 years. I don't know. I don't even know what day it is. But anyway, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And can you imagine when he displays his art?
And he's an ex-military guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He's another ex-military guy. So it's always interesting there again. You think you know people because you've heard their name or you saw them on stage at a show or whatever. And then you start pulling back the curtain and you just like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, we have Leon Alexander, who is phenomenal. Again, was a major player in the early days at Sassoon. I think he had 320 salons in England. Now he's got a company here in the United States, which you need to hear all about. And he's just, again, this cosmic energy.
Right.
That I'm really looking forward to getting to know him better.
I know. Me too.
Yeah.
It's just, it's all these people that we have not lined up or calling us or whatever.
Yeah.
We're learning so much from each and every one of them.
Every one of them. Yeah, Lulu did this because she wanted to elevate the industry and share the knowledge. I just want to make friends and have fun. So, we're doing it.
And here we are.
And here we are. Here we are.
And so I think we're going to have a special surprise pretty soon.
Can't say yet.
I guess you can mention this a little bit.
Well, we're having Leslie Cavish, and for those of you who don't know, again, started in London at Sassoon's, but he was the official hairdresser for the Beatles. He actually left Sassoon to travel with them. He was with them all during the Sgt. Pepper eras. He's written several books. He does, of course, many other celebrities than the Beatles. But you talk about somebody who's got a story to tell. I am beside myself. I am so excited to have him on the show and just listen to the stories,
Oh, yeah. And when I got the text from Tony Beckerman, and he sends me his bio or whatever, and send it off to Sue, and we both went, oh my God.
Yeah. Thank you,
And so-
Tony. Thank you, Tony. Yeah.
And the thing is that I'm ashamed to say I wasn't at the time a real Beatles fan. And one of the girls at the salon is, she's younger.
Beatle, yeah.
She's a Beatle maniac because of her
Right.
father. And she sat there and told me all about the Beatles.
Sure.
And then she says, oh my God, that's him.
Yeah.
She saw Leslie Collins. And she says, that's him? You're going to
Yeah.
interview? And so anyway,
Yeah.
I got some excitement from my staff,
Yeah.
from Macon. And so I'm going to have to sit down and talk to her and find all about,
yeah.
know all about the Beatles.
And I, of course, have been a Beatle. I'm a music freak. Mm-hmm. Anybody who knows me, I'm a music freak. So I think that all started with the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I was into rockabilly and all that before, but when the Beatles came, it just changed our whole world. It was a complete culture shift. And so, of course, I played their albums so much that you couldn't play them anymore because there were too many scratches on them. And I used to have the album covers, and I don't know whatever happened to this, but I had like 3 of their album covers, and I had them framed. I had them framed and hung on my wall.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm a Beatle fan.
Wow.
Wow.
That's all we're going to tell you right now
Yeah.
until the next time.
I have one thing to say. I have a lot of things to say, but we're talking about everything that's coming up and how much fun we've had. Mm-hmm. But I want to thank our audience. We have a very diverse audience of all different places around the world, different groups. And the one thing I would ask, if you're watching us and you're following us and you really enjoy our podcasts, there's that little thing that says subscribe. Doesn't cost anything, but when you click it, it tweaks the algorithm to show that, hey, there are a lot of people listening to this, following this. So next time, if you haven't done that and you're tuning into some of these great guests, give us a little push on the subscribe button so that the rest of the powers that be know you're out there. We know because people call and talk to us and whatever, but that would be great. And
that would be great. It's so, just go to YouTube and you can see the episode, and please subscribe to that. Like Sue said, it won't cost you a thing. If you're listening and you're in your car, like I do, go to your favorite platforms. Mine's is Apple because I listen to it in my car, or you can use Spotify, whatever. You can hear it and hear the episode. Mm-hmm. And please follow us. Leave a comment on either platform, because that would help us in our ratings. So
Lulu and I are very different because Lulu drives a lot, being in the Galveston, Houston area. So almost always she's listening to podcasts in her car, where I'm a visual person. So I am always watching it on YouTube. And we always asked our guests if they'll submit some of their work. And I love just watching the announcements to see some of the incredible stuff these people do. So you can also find us on you can just Google YouTube podcasts and it'll come up, and then tap in artists, icons, and entrepreneurs. And you can select from any of the maybe we talked about somebody and you're like, oh, I didn't see that episode. Well, you can go back and watch them. I love that.
Great. Well, this is our Thanksgiving week, and what are we thankful for?
Gosh, I'm thankful for this year. Not to get too mundane, but I lost my husband 5 years ago, and grief is something I think that dwells in you, and you don't even know that it's there. But I had kind of lost some of my motivation, my drive. I'm still working. I still have my company. It's not like I was sitting on the couch depressed, but I have to say, having Lulu as a friend, having decided to do this podcast, has just reignited a spark in me. 24 is a very good year for me and my family. I have a granddaughter who's pregnant. I'm so excited to have new life in our family. We're so happy for her. You know, I just have reconnected with some very special friends, and that's always important. I feel like my health, I went through some health challenges, and I'm getting stronger every day. And I'm just, it sounds trite, but God is good every day. Stop and look around and be thankful. And I am one lucky woman. And the fact that Lulu's in my life is never taken for granted. Someday we're going to write our stories, aren't we?
And, you know, speaking of being thankful, you know, mental health and physical health are two things that we need to work on.
Right.
A couple of things. No, PC is the other thing. But, you know, if we work on those two things, and I'm thankful that we found each other, you know, we knew each other for some time.
40 years ago,
Yeah.
50.
But to develop this podcast is a new, you know, it's like, why are we doing this? But we're doing it because we enjoy it.
We love it.
We enjoy it and we're learning. And the thing is that it brings another us into the plate, you know?
Right, yeah.
We find out more about ourselves. But, and so I want to thank you, Sue, so much for being my partner in this new adventure, because I couldn't do it without you.
I couldn't do it without you. Different skill sets.
And we both have major health issues, you know, but we keep going.
Well, and I, you know, not to get on an off ramp, but I think the other thing that you and I share is we also connect with a spiritual bond. And I also personally feel that, yes, mental, yes, physical, but we shouldn't take the spiritual for granted.
Exactly.
I'm not saying people out there have to believe in what I believe in, but there's a force larger than us. And if you can find a way to tap into that, I myself am a Christian, so I give all the glory to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, with whom I would not be here
today.
But, you know, you and I have fought a lot of battles that most people don't know about. And if you really got down to what got us through, it was our faith.
It was. And it is our faith. It is our faith.
Yeah.
So what am I thankful? You know, I'm thankful for you, of course, but I'm also thankful for my family, and, you know, have this wonderful husband that drives me crazy. But he keeps me straight and narrow because I can do a whole bunch of different things. My family, my business, my little one that my baby my baby girl had a baby. He's 7 months old. My other 6 grandchildren are all adults, and the youngest one is 16, and the oldest one I think is 26. And then there's a 7-month-old, little Wade. And so
Adorable.
He keeps me busy. So last week I babysitted, and this week I'm going to babysit again, I was told. So I hope I'm not contagious because I have a little cold. But anyway, you know, life is good.
There's nothing better than family. And I didn't realize, but there are a lot of people who aren't blessed with the families that we have. But anybody who's in your life, who truly cares about you, who makes you a better person, that circle can be your family. And you need those people in your life. I'm bad because I probably don't extend myself the way I should. If people reach out to me, I'm very quick to respond positively, but I'm not as good at reaching out because I've always been busy and working and whatever. But I'm going to really work on that this next year. I'm going to take some risks. I'm going to reach out and try, you know, just trust in more people.
And with that note, we're all thankful. We're all thankful. So, artists, icons, and entrepreneurs, thank you so much, audience, for listening to this episode. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, because I want to eat a lot. How about you?
Happy Thanksgiving!
Bye-bye for now.
Wow, what an episode. That wraps up another exciting edition of Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you're leaving inspired and ready to chase your dreams. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode over at youtube.com/Artists, Icons, Entrepreneurs, as well as Facebook at Lulu Benavidez, on IG at Lulu Benavidez, at Evolve Hair Solutions as well. And don't forget to visit our website at lulubenavidez.com and evolvehairsolutions.com to stay updated. Until next time, keep dreaming big, creating boldly, and making your mark on the world. Thanks for listening, and take care, everyone.